Well, hello there. If you're seeing this, it means that you follow my work on some level. I am streaming this in Facebook, in my Facebook group, my Facebook page, my series page, and my YouTube channel. And so a lot of times people only tap into some of my resources. And so I'd like to come on at least a few times a month, well, a few times every few months, and let you know what resources I have available and how to support you. Because when you're raising a child with anxiety or OCD, the struggle as a parent to help our kids is such a tricky thing to do. And there's about 4 different areas where as parents we really struggle, and I want to dive into those and talk to you about the resources that I have that can support you in that. Because a lot of people only know me from one aspect. They know me from a podcast, or they know me from my YouTube channel, or they're in my Facebook group and they don't even realize the things that I offer. And that's unfortunate, because there are so many resources out there that you can tap into, even if you're waiting for a therapist. So before I get started, for those of you that are tapping into my resources, but you don't even know who I am, which does happen quite a lot actually, my name is Natasha Daniels, and I am an anxiety and OCD child therapist. I have 3 kids of my own who have anxiety and OCD. They're actually now 19, 13, and 11. I have struggled with my own anxiety disorder my entire life, and I am a therapist. And so I combine those skills as a parent, as someone who's lived this, and as a therapist to offer you in-depth support at whatever level you need. And so, what I find is there's 4 main struggles as a parent, and I want to go through them, and then I want to talk about the resources that I have that help deal with those struggles. And feel free to leave any comments if you have comments about what resources you've tapped into, or what resources you have found that have been helpful for you. But the first one is feeling very alone. That I get that a lot. People will say, I just feel so alone, or overwhelmed. Those are like the 2 things I hear the most from parents. Is it's just such a lonely experience. I talk to my friends and they don't get it. They don't get when I'm celebrating because my child was able to go to school today, or I'm celebrating because my child was able to take a 45-minute shower, or I'm excited that my child was able to sleep on their own today. And so feeling alone in that journey and feeling like you can't share those things because people don't get it can be really, really challenging. Or you just want someone to be able to say, this is what I do, or this is how I handle it. And so feeling less alone in that journey is really important. The other one is overwhelm. A lot of times as parents, I will hear parents say, I just don't even know where to start. There's like so many resources, or I'm getting such mixed advice, or I can't find a therapist, and I'm overwhelmed. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do to help my child. I don't know if I'm supposed to wait. And so that overwhelm of not having a plan can be immobilizing, and it can really add to the chaos and stress in the family. And so being alone and feeling overwhelmed are like the 2 main things that I hear from parents. And I'm sure that some of you listening have experienced that as well. The next issue that I see a lot of, there's 4 of them that I want to go through. The next one is that you can't access help. And I'm hoping that over time this will change, but there is such an barrier to accessing appropriate therapeutic help for kids with anxiety or OCD, especially OCD, where you need a trained clinician who has OCD experience to really help a child. And if they don't have that training, they can actually do more harm than good. And so there's a lot of parents that are in my communities who will say, we are on a wait list. We've been on a wait list for a year, or we've had 4 therapists that have not helped, or are not skilled in OCD. Or my child won't see a therapist. I finally found that magic unicorn and my child won't go see them. Or it's too expensive. It's like $250 or $300 a session. Or you're in a country that does government health. A lot of people in the UK or in Canada are depending on the government to provide it, and the government's not caught up in OCD treatment. And so there's long waiting lists. So there's a lot of barriers to getting therapists, or even making sure you have the right therapist. That could be a barrier as well. And so overwhelm, aloneness, access to treatment, appropriate treatment. The next one is, even if you do have that amazing anxiety or OCD therapist, or you feel like you've got your beat, parents can struggle with knowing their role. And so they might say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Or when my child wants reassurance over and over and over and over again, what am I supposed to do in order to help them? And when you start to get onto this journey, you start to learn that accommodations and providing that ongoing cycle of reassurance is actually growing the anxiety or OCD. And then there are different counterintuitive approaches to help our kids without providing that piece that actually grows their anxiety or OCD. But you learn a little bit and you go, okay, well, I'm not supposed to do that, but then what am I supposed to do? Anxiety and OCD is a family affair. And I've learned this with my own kids very early on in my journey, where I tried to do therapy with my kids. Well, not like therapy, but I tried to like do the things that I do with people in my office and try to pull them into my home office and just do some cognitive behavioral exposures and stuff like that. And what I found is it wasn't in those moments where I had planned to do a discussion with them. It was actually in the moments where it was messy. It was in the moments where my son, who has PANS and ARFID, where he couldn't eat. And it was how I was going to coach him through that in that moment where he wanted to spit out his food. Or it was in that moment when my daughter would be on a road trip and her sensory motor OCD would kick in and she would need to go pee, even though we had just stopped in the bathroom like 5 minutes before. She would have that urge. And how was I going to approach that? How was I going to talk to her? How was I going to help that? So even when you have a therapist, it's like, how do you navigate those really tough moments? How do you navigate when anxiety or OCD wants to hook you in? How do you know what things you are adding to the issue? How do you create a therapeutic home environment? That's what the whole series that I just did was about. I did a free series, Survival Tools for Parents Raising Kids with Anxiety or OCD. Some of you are in that Facebook group that are watching this. And we're talking about, we have to create an environment for our kids at home, regardless of whether we have access to therapy or not, to facilitate and bring out those long-term skills. And so that's a struggle. And the final struggle for parents, I find, and you can tell me what your struggles are too, is your child feels alone. And so maybe they don't want to talk about their anxiety or OCD. And part of that often comes from feeling shame, feeling alienation, feeling weird or different or crazy, because you don't realize that anxiety or OCD is super common. You don't realize that your OCD themes are probably things that everybody else with OCD has stumbled with in the past. And so that feeling of isolation for our kids actually ruins communication, it ruins motivation, and it grows the anxiety or OCD because they don't want to talk about it at all. And so what are we supposed to do with that, right? So for those of you that are in one of my groups or on my page, you might have stumbled on my page and you don't know who I am, or you might be just watching my YouTube channel. You don't realize that I have so much more than just the YouTube channel. I want to let you know that I have created, as a clinician, I have realized, and it's been kind of my mission, to create global resources that are online, easy to access, so that parents can utilize these skills and tools themselves. It's amazing when you have a therapist, and when you have a therapist plus my resources, it's a powerhouse of tools, which is really amazing and helpful. But even if you don't have a therapist, just tapping into the tools that are available to you on a global basis is really important. And that's what I've done. And that's what I started in 2015 when I began this journey with providing online resources for you. So a lot of people only know one aspect of what I provide, or they'll be like, Natasha, I don't understand. You have way too many things going on. What are your resources? And so I do like to come on here, every 3 months and let you know what resources I have available. So I have a podcast. It's called the AT Parenting Survival Podcast. I make new episodes every single Tuesday. I've been doing that for years. I think I have over 315 episodes. And so there's a lot that you can go through in my podcast episodes. And the goal is to provide you with information on raising kids with anxiety and OCD of all ages, of all comorbidities. If they have, a lot of our kids have other issues as well. And so I address all of that. So that's the podcast. I've had that for quite a while. The YouTube channel I've had for about as long, I think 2016 or 17, I'm not sure. And so the YouTube channel is now become a place where I make videos for kids and teens and young adults directly. And so a lot of times parents like that as a tool because I will link videos. I'll say, here, show your child this video, or here's a video on that to normalize it and reduce that shame. And so recently YouTube has changed and they've added a podcast tab on their YouTube channel, which is really nice because now we are actually uploading my podcast to YouTube as well. And so I think there'll be more parents going to YouTube because it's a one-stop shop where you can actually listen to my podcast and you can watch my YouTube videos. So the podcast in general is for the parent. The YouTube videos are for the person who's struggling directly. I do actually have some young adults who watch my YouTube channel as well because it's universal. It's skills that will help anyone with anxiety or OCD. So those are my free ones. A new podcast every Tuesday, a new YouTube video every Thursday. So twice a week, I am producing something free that will help you and help your child, teen, or young adult with anxiety or OCD. Tap into those. The other thing that I have, I have a website at atparentingsurvival.com. I used to write a lot. I don't write anymore, but that you can go to that website and see all my new material that's coming out. And so the podcast and the YouTube videos and stuff will come out onto that website at atparentingsurvival.com. There's a search feature on that website, which is actually really helpful if you scroll all the way down, because you can search that. And so that can be an easy way to find topics that are relevant to what you're struggling with. Now, I do have parents that have wanted deeper dives. And so after I've had the podcast and the YouTube channel up for quite a while, I started to move into other content. And so I created an online school at atparentingsurvivalschool.com. I have about, I think, 7 or 8 courses. So how to teach kids to crush OCD, how to teach kids to crush anxiety, how to teach to crush social anxiety. And then I just recently created a course called Crushing OCD for Kids and Teens, which is a course directly for people struggling with OCD to build those skills. I have one on difficult behavior. I have one on sleep, and these are all impacted by anxiety or OCD. I have a study guide for space, the space program. And so there's a lot going on in my online school. But I have a lot of parents who wanted weekly in-depth support from me. And so the final thing I created is the AT Parenting Community. And the AT Parenting Community is a membership community. It costs what you would pay for a copay, but you get 24/7 in-depth support. And so I only open the doors to the AT Parenting Community 4 times a year, unless the wait list gets really big, and then I'll open it in between. But 4 times a year so that we can really focus on the members that are inside of it. And these were for parents who really wanted to walk with other parents in a much more in-depth way in this journey of supporting our kids with anxiety or OCD. And so I want to talk a little bit about the AT Parenting Community because it is open. This is one of those times. And so it is open starting today, and the doors close on Thursday. And inevitably, parents will say, I didn't know it was open, or I didn't know you had that. And so I've learned to just, get over my social anxiety and do these lives where I introduce you to all my resources. Some of you will just want to tap into my free resources, which is still very meaty and helpful. But some of you want me to curate and to help you in depth with your issues. And I have that available through the AT Parenting Community. So the first thing we talked about was feeling alone. When you join the AT Parenting Community, you don't feel alone instantly because they are the most amazing, kind-hearted people I've ever met. And I'm not just saying that because it's my community. I've been in a lot of groups for my own stuff, and I have really never felt so much warmth. We really don't have to admin the group. And it's not a Facebook group. We do have a Facebook group as a supplement to the AT Parenting Community, but it's not a Facebook group. And sometimes people even join this and they don't even realize that the Facebook group is just a supplement. And so we have a member-only Facebook group. It is not the large Facebook group that some of you are watching from. I have a large public Facebook group. I should have added that to my free resources. And so I do have a large public Facebook group at it's called AT Parenting Anxious Kids. And there's 34,000 of you, which I am streaming in that group as well. But this is a more intimate group. And so this is a member-only group that is part of the membership. And we have typically about 1,300 members at any given time. And I would say about 3/4 of them do join the Facebook group, but a lot of them don't because we have so many things outside of that. And so I'm not going to go into what we have, but it is nice to not feel alone, and you instantly don't feel alone. The other thing that we do, there's a couple of things. So we have Zoom support group calls, and once a month we jump on Zoom. We can actually see each other. It's more intimate than Facebook. We get to know each other. Parents get to ask me direct questions. I give them my guidance. Other parents will pipe in with their experiences that they've worked with. We have members who have kids of all ages. And I love the eclectic nature of this community because we have parents who have toddlers, 2, 3, 4-year-olds. Actually, I was getting a lot of 4-year-old questions this morning, and I'll explain how I get that in a second. And then we have people with young adults. We have people who have 21, 22, 23-year-olds who are living at home or in college and still are wanting that ongoing support from their parent. The parent needs some guidance on how to do that. So a huge range of ages, which is very cool because we all support each other, because I've been there when my child was 4. I get that. And so there is this almost like, that Montessori, like, let's put multiple ages in one room. It's kind of like that. And then we also have parents who have a lot of kids with comorbid conditions. And so we have kids in there who are autistic and have anxiety or OCD. We have kids that have pandas and pans in there. We have kids who have ADHD. We have kids that have hoarding or body focused repetitive behaviors like picking or pulling. We have kids who have Tourette's. There's lots of comorbid conditions that like to hang out with anxiety or OCD. And so again, that's very helpful because there are parents who are, it's nice for them to have other pandas and pans friends in there who get that part. And there's people in there who have expertise way beyond me in these certain areas. And that's great because as a community, we tap into those expertise and that can be really helpful. So we have the member only Facebook group. We have a member only, we have the support group calls, and then we also have the forums. And so on the member website, we have a forum in there. And so some people don't want to be on Facebook and it's more private and comfortable for them to be in the forums. The forums is where I live. I don't live on Facebook because I want the community to support each other. I find that if I pipe in and I give my support, then no one else pipes in. And so I let the Facebook community be about each other. And the forums are really like a one-on-one line to me. It's like I'm a warm line to parents who are struggling. And so I've actually gotten quite a few questions already because the doors have opened. We have new members. And this morning I had, probably about 10 forum questions for me. And that's kind of what it looks like. Parents will say, Natasha, I'm just starting out. This is what's going on. Where do I start? And I normally have more questions to ask. And then I will lead them. Have you tried this or tried that? If they are looking for resources. And so there are parents in there who really almost put something in the forums every single day in the beginning and talk to me just to get that support. I'm not their therapist, but I am there to support and guide them as another parent. I have all my clinical expertise that I can add, but it's just nice to have a warm line, especially when you are waiting for therapists, or maybe you feel like the therapist is very busy with your child and it's nice for you to get support. And in fact, a lot of anxiety and OCD child therapists refer their patients and clients over to my community because they love that there is some sound clinical advice and guidance in this this supportive community. And so that can be really helpful as a clinician to be like, I know that I'm giving them that extra support, and that can be helpful. And so those are there to address the feeling alone part. There are some parents who join literally only for the Zoom calls, and still for, the membership is $30 a month. For $30 a month, you're still going to pay more than that typically to join a support group call. And so that in and of itself is sometimes worth its value. But fortunately, there is a lot more than that. The second one is I can't access help, right? I'm waiting for a therapist. I have no idea when a therapist is going to call me back. I can't find the right therapist. I've just learned that I need to do ERP for OCD. And I'm just hitting therapists that just have cognitive behavioral therapy, but they don't know what ERP is. Eek, I need help. And so I do address that as well. When I created the community, I wanted members to have instant access to foundational knowledge. And so I gifted them free access to a lot of my courses. Now, remember, my courses are at atparentingsurvivalschool.com. They're totally separate. It's an online school. There's about 7 or 8 courses in there. It's not related to the AT parenting community. That's my membership. But I wanted these members to have direct access because in the AT parenting community, we dive deep, and we all eventually get, like, within 3 to 4 months of being part of the AT parenting community, your knowledge of anxiety or OCD is almost at a therapist level. It really is, because if you're really soaking up the resources, it's not rocket science. You just need to be given the right resources. And so I've had a lot of parents who eventually got into therapy, and the therapist said, oh my gosh, like, you know so much already that we can just skip a lot of the preliminary stuff and move right into some of the more advanced treatment. That's the goal. And so in order to make that happen, I have given free access to one of my larger classes. And so members get to pick between how to teach kids to crush anxiety, or how to teach kids to crush OCD, or how to crush social anxiety. So they pick one of those to get free access to, because that's the bread and butter. That's like the main thing. Within 3 hours, so maybe like within a week or two, if they watch like one video every night, they will have literally done like 4 sessions with me in therapy. Because that's the first thing I do as a therapist in session is I educate the parent, and then I educate the kids. I don't start doing anything until I've fully educated the parent and the child. And then we start moving forward. And everything that I do in those sessions, I have condensed and put into these courses. And so that's my foundation course. And it's not long, and they're short videos. And so within, really within 2 days, you can have that if you really like dive into it. But even if you just wanted to touch on it and like watch a video each night, you'd be done within a week. So you do get that as a course. I also give you, I gifted a lot of courses in the beginning when I opened up this community. So you get that main one, and I really want parents to take that main one first. But then everybody was talking about difficult behavior and how the difficult behavior is so overwhelming. And I had a course called How to Handle Difficult Behavior Caused by Anxiety or OCD. And so I was like, I'm just going to gift it to them too. So they get free access to that one too. And with that course, again, it's shorter than the other one. It's probably about 2 hours long. There are videos for the parent, and there's videos for the child. And I actually made videos for teens. And so depending on your child's age, you would show them the appropriate video. One is more mature than the other one. And parents learn very quickly how to approach difficult behavior in a therapeutic way that would actually support the work that they're doing with anxiety or OCD. And so that was another great thing, because once they take the foundational course, they can take the difficult behavior course. I also gave them access to my moral OCD course, which is a mini course that will teach you how to work on moral OCD, because a lot of times parents don't realize how to apply their OCD skills to moral OCD. It's all the same, but I made it like a mini course to just walk them through that. They get free access to that, and they get free access to, and then parents were complaining that their kids' foot were on the break. The kids didn't want to work on things. What do they do in the meanwhile when their kids are literally not wanting to engage in therapy? They don't want to talk about it. And the parents are stuck accommodating the anxiety or OCD. So Ellie Leibowitz has written a book called Breaking Free from Childhood Anxiety or OCD. He does a parent-only therapeutic approach of systematically pulling back accommodations. And I know a lot of the members in the AT parenting community they're visual. They got used to watching my videos. They like the way that I teach, and they like my style. And so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to make a study course for them so that they can easily digest this approach. And so I made a study course on the SPACE program, and I gave them free access to that. I actually eventually put it in my online school so people can purchase it if they're not members. But that was another great resource. If their child's not willing to work on things, it's like, well, here, take the SPACE program, and I will teach you how to pull back accommodations. And so they are given that as free. And so that's a lot of guidance. So there's a lot of clinical guidance around giving you the knowledge and the support. We also have a free library full of videos for your kids, worksheets for your kids, videos for you. It's jam-packed, but we do have a search button, and people can just message me in the forums and say, what should I start with? And I will personally guide you through that. And so that's really helpful. We also have weekly live classes. It's a lot. And that's why I say to members that first join, I say, pace yourself, because it is a lot of guidance, a lot of support. You're not meant to tap into all of that right away. I'd rather have more than less, even if it does feel a little bit like, whoa, there's so much, because I will personally guide you through it. when you message me in the forums. So we do have weekly live calls, and those are streamed on Facebook, but we do upload them to the member website for those members that are not on Facebook. And so that is all of the knowledge part. The last one is that, children feel alone. And so initially I didn't have a lot of resources for the kids. It was resources directly for the parents. But the AT parenting community started in 2019, and it's really grown and evolved since then because members have asked for things. And when they ask for things that are reasonable and doable, we do it and we grow it because it's not my community, it's their community as well. And so they wanted more resources directly for their kids and teens. And that is why we made Zoom support group calls for kids and teens directly. And so that has been really huge because some parents are like, I just want to join so that my kids have a support group. There's no support groups in my area. And just for my child to hear other people who have anxiety or OCD will be life-changing for us. And so there are some parents who don't care about my courses. They don't want the knowledge. They don't want to connect with other parents. They literally just want a support group call for their kids. And it's a reasonable price, to pay like $30 a month for a support group call. You would pay more than that a lot of times in a therapy practice. And so some parents do that. And then they eventually are like, oh, these are really good resources for me too. Maybe they join the parent Zoom support group call and they start to say, oh, maybe I'll just take this course. And, they slowly immerse themselves into more of what they didn't really think they were going to tap into. Over time, the kids and so we had a kid support group call, and then the kids wanted the older kids wanted a teen support group call. So we eventually created, I think maybe a year ago or 2 years ago at this point, a teen support group call. So now we have a parent support group call, a kid support group call, and a teen support group call. And they are phenomenal. The kids in there, you can tell the parents are doing so much work because they are so loving, so therapeutic. The advice they give is almost always on point. If it's not, I will gently reframe and suggest different approaches, but I very rarely have to. We have a really good group of kids and teens and parents in that group. And so the kids wanted to connect off the Zoom call. A lot of them were like, this is the best. This is the time where I feel the most heard. This is the time where I feel most understood. A lot of kids start with just listening. They don't come on camera. They don't participate. They just listen. They might be in another room even, and the parent will just have it on loud, because I tell people do not force the Zoom support group calls. And over time, they start to participate, but just hearing other people is very, very normalizing. And so kids wanted to connect outside of that. And so we actually wound up creating the Buddy program, which is really just a way for us to get members to connect with other members, because we didn't want kids sharing their information online. We didn't know if the parents would be okay with that. And so we don't allow that in our Zoom support group calls, but we have a formal document where we connect kids who are either the same age, same area, same issues with anxiety or OCD. And then the parents were like, we want that too, because it's nice to talk in a group, but it'd be really cool to be able to like just connect with people in my community. We do have a place on our forums that say like where you live and connect, but a lot of people use the forums just to talk to me directly. And so we did create a Buddy program for parents. And that was about maybe 2 months ago, maybe a little bit less. And parents were very appreciative of that because it's just a way to connect with other parents on a personal level. And I know for me with social anxiety, that would be a very helpful thing because I'm not going to like approach someone on Facebook or in a member forum. But if I'm on, you're on the Buddy program and I know that you want someone to connect with you, and one-on-one is much better for me as with my social anxiety. That's a great way and method to do that. So we did all that to make sure that people aren't feeling alone. So that's the AT parenting community. If you have any questions, feel free to post them. Here is a link where you can learn more about it. I kind of go much more in detail on this website where you can learn more about the AT parenting community, what's in it, what it entails, how to sign up. The doors are open until Thursday, and then we do close them, and we're really not flexible with that because it gets disruptive to have people coming in that community all of the time because it does become this nice close-knit community. And so we try to control that as best as we can. And that's why I like to, let people know that it's open right now so that people don't get angry with me. But it will close, and then we'll reopen. Where are we at? Probably by the end of the summer, maybe the beginning of fall, we will open again. So I hope that you find my resources helpful. Thank you for being wherever you are, whether you're YouTube or my Facebook group or my Facebook page or the series page. This member series will close, just so that you guys know, that series Facebook group will close on Thursday. But you can always join my large public Facebook group, or I would love to walk with you in your journey and be more in-depth support at the AT Parenting community. So I hope that you guys do enjoy the rest of your day. If you have questions, feel free to post them wherever you are. Like I said, we are streaming this in multiple areas. And so I will get tagged if you have any questions, if you're watching this on replay, because we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. All right, take care.